Beyond the shroud, Captain Orion Vega drummed his fingers against the command chair's armrest, staring at the swirling blue-violet gases of the Veil Nebula through the horizon's observation viewport. The massive cloud had remained largely unexplored for decades, a vast, mysterious expanse at the edge of charted space that conventional sensors struggled to penetrate. Captain, those energy readings are still fluctuating, reported Dr. Alara Frost, her eyes fixed on the holographic display before her. The science officer's usual calm demeanor had given way to barely contained excitement. I've never seen quantum signatures like these. They're almost deliberate. Define deliberate, Doctor, Vega replied, rising from his chair to study her findings. Organized, patterned, these aren't random cosmic events. She manipulated the display, expanding a section that showed wave-like oscillations moving in perfect synchronization. There's intelligence behind this. Commander Drax, the Horizon's security chief, moved to join them. His massive frame, the product of growing up on a high-gravity colony world, cast a shadow over the science station. Could be a natural phenomenon we don't understand yet, he suggested, though his hand instinctively moved closer to his sidearm. In 15 years of deep space exploration, Drax had learned that unknown usually meant dangerous. Not natural, came the crisp voice of Lieutenant Nova Quinn as she approached from the AI core. Her neural interface implants glinted in the blue light of the bridge. I've run these patterns through every astronomical database. They match nothing known to science, but they do share characteristics with encrypted communication protocols. Vega studied the data, then made his decision. Take us in, Lieutenant Herschel, shields at maximum, let's see what's hiding in the veil. The Horizon's engines hummed as the exploration vessel pushed deeper into the nebula's glowing embrace. For 3 days, they followed the energy signatures, each hour bringing them closer to their source. The nebula grew denser around them until finally. Contact, Drax announced, the tactical display lighting up with activity. Massive structure dead ahead. The viewscreen adjusted, filtering out the nebula's glow to reveal what lay hidden within. The bridge crew fell silent. Before them floated what could only be described as a city in space, a vast web of interconnected structures spanning thousands of kilometers, its architecture unlike anything in human records. Crystalline towers reached into the void, connected by arcing bridges of light. Energy pulses raced through transparent conduits, giving the entire structure the appearance of a living organism. It's beautiful, whispered Dr. Frost. And it's scanning us, added Drax grimly. Comprehensive sweep right through our shields. Before Vega could respond, every display on the bridge flickered and changed. A face appeared humanoid but distinctly alien, with luminescent skin that shifted through shades of blue and violet. Its eyes were silver pools without pupils, and intricate patterns seemed to move beneath its skin like circuitry. Greetings, travelers, it said in perfect universal standard. You have found what few were meant to discover. I am Sentinel Lyrics of the Luminarch Echelon. Your presence has been anticipated, though perhaps sooner than we expected. Vega stepped forward. I am Captain Orion Vega of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. We come with peaceful intent. The alien figure, Lyrics, seemed to study him with those unsettling silver eyes. Yes, we know. We have studied your kind for a very long time, Captain Vega of Earth. The question that remains is whether you are ready for what comes next. Before Vega could respond, the bridge dissolved around them. For a moment, the crew experienced the sensation of falling, then suddenly found themselves standing in an enormous chamber. The walls, floor, and ceiling seemed to be made of the same crystalline material as the space city, but here it was clear that the circuitry-like patterns were not mere decoration. Information flowed visibly through the structure itself. 4 Luminarchs stood before them, including Lyrics. Up close, their alienness was even more apparent. They were tall, nearly 2.5 meters, with slender builds. Their skin glowed from within, pulsing gently in what Vega suspected was synchronization with their heartbeats or thoughts. Welcome to the Nexus, said Lyrics. For 20,000 of your years, we have maintained the shroud that hides us from the rest of the galaxy. Why hide? Asked Dr. Frost, her scientific curiosity overcoming her initial shock. Your technology is incredible. You could have made contact, shared knowledge. A different Luminarch stepped forward. I am Elder Tevis. We hid because knowledge carries responsibility and power invites challenge. Its voice resonated strangely, as if speaking from multiple sources simultaneously. We are watchers, guardians of a secret older than your species' first written word. Nova Quinn studied the flowing data in the walls. With her neural implants, she could sense patterns even in alien technology. You're monitoring something, the entire galaxy. Perceptive, nodded Tevis. Yes, we observe and we protect, though until now we have done so from the shadows. Commander Drax's expression darkened. Protect from what exactly? The 4 Luminarch exchanged glances, silent communication passing between them. Finally, Lyrics gestured and the chamber transformed around them. Suddenly, they stood in what appeared to be space itself, stars stretching in every direction. From them, said Lyrics, pointing to a dark region at the galaxy's edge. The darkness moved. What had seemed like empty space between stars shifted, revealing shapes that defied comprehension, vast shadowy entities that seemed to devour light itself. As the humans watched, one of these entities engulfed a star, which flickered and died. The Void Heralds, explained Tevis, ancient beings from the space between realities. They consume energy, matter, even consciousness itself. They have destroyed countless civilizations across multiple galaxies. Vega found his voice again, and you've been fighting them alone. Containing them, corrected another Luminarch, directing their attention away from populated sectors, but they grow stronger, more determined. The shroud that hides us also helps mask the galaxy's life signatures, but it weakens with each passing cycle. Dr. Frost stepped closer to the cosmic display. Why reveal yourselves to us now? Lyrics turned those silver eyes upon her. Because of you, Doctor, because of humans. With another gesture, the display changed again. Now they saw strands of DNA, neural patterns, brain scans, all human. Your species possesses something unique in the galaxy, Lyrics continued. Your neural architecture, your genetic adaptability, your cognitive resilience. You are the only species we have encountered who might successfully integrate with our technology. Integrate? Asked Quinn, her hand unconsciously touching the implants at her temple. To fight the Void Heralds directly requires perception across multiple dimensions simultaneously, explained Tevis. Our technology can facilitate this, but our physiology cannot withstand the strain. Your species, however. You want us as pilots, realized Vega, combat operators for your defense systems. Partners, corrected Lyrics, equals in the defense of all life in this galaxy. For a moment, silence hung in the chamber as the implications sank in. Then Commander Drax spoke, his deep voice resonant with suspicion. Convenient that you've been watching us for millennia but only need our help now. What aren't you telling us? The fourth Luminarch, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. Unlike the others, its skin pulsed with reds and oranges rather than blues and violets. I am Marshal Zenith of the Defense Echelon. Your suspicion is warranted, Commander. It gestured, and the display changed again to show a timeline. The Void Herald's attempts to breach our defenses have increased exponentially in recent cycles. Our projections indicate total containment failure within 5 of your years. And if that happens, asked Vega. Extinction, replied Zenith simply. First for worlds at the galaxy's edge, then spreading inward. Your Earth would have perhaps 20 years before they reached it. Vega exchanged glances with his officers. Dr. Frost looked both terrified and fascinated. Commander Drax remained suspicious but attentive. Lieutenant Quinn was already studying the alien technology with professional interest. Why us? Vega finally asked. Why our ship specifically? Lyrics' expression shifted in what might have been the alien equivalent of a smile. Not random chance, Captain. Your journey here was guided. Your ship's quantum signature was identified as optimal for first contact nearly 3 of your years ago. You've been watching us that long, Drax demanded. Longer, confirmed Tevis. Your Lieutenant Quinn's breakthrough work on neural digital interfaces particularly attracted our attention. Quinn's eyes widened. My research was classified. Yet essential, countered Zenith. It laid groundwork for the integration we propose. Before any further discussion could occur, the chamber pulsed with red light. The Luminarch stiffened, their skin patterns accelerating. What's happening? Demanded Vega. Impossible, whispered Lyrics. They've found us. The cosmic display reappeared, showing the dark shapes of the Void Heralds converging on the nebula that had hidden the Luminarch for millennia. How? Demanded Zenith, turning to Tevis. The shroud still stands. They followed them, realized Tevis, gesturing toward the humans. The Horizon's passage created a quantum wake through the shroud. Commander Drax stepped forward, hand moving to his weapon. You said we were guided here. Yes, but through conventional space, replied Lyrics urgently. Your ship's experimental quantum drive created distortions we did not anticipate. The Heralds sensed the breach. The chamber shuddered. In the display, the dark entities began to surround the nebula. We have no choice now, declared Zenith. The time for gradual introduction is past. Captain Vega, we need your decision immediately. Will humanity stand with us? Vega looked at his officers, then back at the encroaching darkness. We'll need to contact Earth, establish proper diplomatic. Another tremor shook the chamber, stronger this time. There is no time, insisted Zenith. The Void Heralds strike now. If they destroy this nexus, all our knowledge, all our defenses will be lost. Vega took a deep breath. What do you need from us right now? Your ship carries the prototype quantum communication array, said Lyrics. We must use it to alert our other outposts and send a message to your Earth. Lieutenant Quinn stepped forward. The QCA wasn't meant for this kind of range. With our technology enhancing it, distance will not be a limitation, assured Tevis. Vega nodded decisively. Lieutenant Quinn returned to the horizon with Commander Drax. Prepare the QCA for maximum output. Dr. Frost and I will remain here to coordinate. As Quinn and Drax vanished, transported back to their vessel by Luminarch technology, Vega turned to Lyrics. I hope we're making the right decision. As do we all, Captain, replied the alien, silver eyes fixed on the approaching darkness. As do we all. In the depths of space, the Void Heralds converged, sensing the prize that had eluded them for millennia. And within the hidden nexus, an unlikely alliance formed, the first step in a battle that would determine the fate of an entire galaxy. The quantum veil had been pierced. What lay beyond it would change humanity forever. Quantum Alliance. 5 years had transformed Earth beyond recognition. Ambassador Thorn Meridian stood at the viewport of the orbital platform Unity, watching shuttles ferry between Earth and the massive Luminarch vessels in synchronous orbit. The gleaming crystalline structures seemed to ripple with internal light, a stark contrast to the utilitarian design of human spacecraft. Still hard to believe sometimes, isn't it? Asked a voice behind him. Thorn turned to see Fleet Admiral Cassandra Wells approaching, her uniform bearing the insignia of the newly formed Quantum Concord, a spiral galaxy encircled by intertwining strands of light and darkness. 5 years, Thorn nodded. Sometimes it feels like yesterday that the horizon made first contact. Other times it feels like we've lived several lifetimes since then. Cassandra finished for him, joining him at the viewport. Her dark hair was now streaked with silver, a testament to the stress of overseeing humanity's most rapid military expansion in history. Below them, Earth glowed with the telltale shimmer of the planetary shield grid. Similar defenses now protected 17 human colonies across 3 star systems. Construction of the quantum resonance network had been prioritized above all other projects, with resources from every nation redirected to the war effort. The Luminarch Council is assembling, announced the station's AI. Ambassador Meridian and Admiral Wells are requested in Chamber Alpha. They made their way through corridors where humans worked alongside Luminarch technicians, the latter's luminescent skin casting soft, shifting light as they manipulated holographic interfaces with graceful gestures. The alliance had been difficult at first. Centuries of isolation had made the Luminarch cautious of outsiders, but necessity had forced rapid integration. Chamber Alpha was a perfect fusion of human and Luminarch design. The circular room featured both conventional displays and the flowing data conduits the Luminarch preferred. At the center stood a massive 3-dimensional strategic map of the galaxy, certain regions pulsing with ominous darkness. Elder Tevis acknowledged their arrival with a slight inclination of his head. The eldest of the Luminarch present, his skin now pulsed with deeper blues than when Captain Vega had first encountered him years ago. The situation has deteriorated, he began without preamble. The Void Heralds have breached the outer defensive perimeter in 3 sectors. Marshal Zenith, now bearing battle scars that appeared as darker patches in his luminescence, manipulated the display to highlight the affected regions. They're adapting to our quantum disruption fields faster than anticipated. The Rigel colony was evacuated just in time. Admiral Wells studied the tactical display with a grim expression. The Third Fleet reports similar adaptations in the Tau Ceti engagement. We're losing our technological edge. Dr. Zara Winston entered the chamber, her arrival causing a stir among both humans and Luminarch. The quantum physicist had become legendary over the past 5 years for her groundbreaking work combining human theoretical models with Luminarch practical knowledge. Her neural implants were more extensive than most humans, allowing her deeper integration with Luminarch systems. I believe I know why our countermeasures are failing, she announced, connecting directly to the chamber's systems. The Galactic display zoomed in on a Void Herald attack in progress. We've been approaching this wrong from the beginning. The display shifted, showing multiple overlapping layers of the same region of space. The heralds don't just move through our dimension, they exist across multiple dimensions simultaneously, when we block them in one layer of reality. They simply shift their presence to another, finished Thorn, understanding dawning, like pushing on water. Exactly, nodded Zara, but there's more. She highlighted energy patterns flowing between the layers. They maintain quantum coherence across these dimensional boundaries. It's how they coordinate their actions. Marshal Zenith stepped forward, his skin flashing with urgent patterns. If they maintain coherence across dimensions, then disrupting that coherence could affect their entire multi-dimensional structure, completed Zara. We don't need to defeat them in each dimension, we need to collapse the connections between dimensions. Elder Tevis studied the model with intense concentration. Such an approach would require enormous energy expenditure and precise timing. The quantum calculations alone would be beyond our computational capacity. Not if we use the neural network, interrupted a new voice. All eyes turned to the chamber entrance where Captain Orion Vega stood. 5 years had weathered him, a cybernetic implant now replacing his left eye, lost during the Battle of Proxima Centauri. Beside him stood Lieutenant Nova Quinn, now Director of Human Luminarch Integration, her neural implants far more sophisticated than when she had first interfaced with Luminarch technology aboard the Horizon. The human pilots linked to Luminarch ships form a distributed neural network, Vega continued. If we synchronize all pilots simultaneously, we could perform the calculations in real time during combat. The mental strain would be enormous, warned Quinn. We'd be asking hundreds of pilots to process 11-dimensional mathematics while under enemy attack. We have no choice, Vega replied grimly. The Heralds are probing deeper into populated systems with each incursion. Intelligence suggests they're planning something bigger. As if summoned by his words, the chamber's alert system activated. A holographic representation of Sentinel Lyrics appeared, his normally calm demeanor visibly disturbed. The long-range quantum observatory has detected massive Herald movement, he reported. All major Herald clusters are converging. Analysis suggests they are gathering for a coordinated strike against a primary target. Where? Demanded Admiral Wells. Lyrics's expression grew grave. Trajectory analysis is conclusive, they're coming to Sol, they're targeting Earth. The revelation hit the chamber like a physical blow. For 5 years, the war had been fought on the periphery, dangerous but distant. Now it was coming home. How long do we have? Asked Thorne, his diplomatic composure faltering. 72 hours at most, replied Lyrics. They're moving faster than we've ever observed before. Admiral Wells instantly shifted to command mode. I want every available ship recalled to the Sol system immediately, full evacuation protocols for all civilian stations, ground-based defenses at maximum readiness. As the chamber erupted into activity, Dr. Winston pulled Vega, Quinn, and the Luminarch leaders aside. This might be exactly what we need. You can't be serious, Vega said incredulously. They're bringing their main force against Earth. Yes, which means they'll be committing fully to this dimension to maximize their attack power, Winston explained, her eyes alight with realization. If they're concentrated here, their connections to other dimensions will be strained, vulnerable. Quinn caught on immediately. A coordinated quantum resonance strike could sever those connections permanently. Not just sever them, Winston continued, but potentially create a cascading dimensional collapse that could banish them from our reality entirely. Elder Tevis considered this. The theory is sound, but the execution would require perfect synchronization across hundreds of vessels. And a focal point, added Vega, something to serve as a quantum anchor for the resonance wave. Everyone fell silent as the implication became clear. Someone would need to be at the center of the Herald formation when the resonance wave was triggered, almost certainly a suicide mission. I'll do it, Vega said quietly. The Horizon was retrofitted with the most advanced quantum resonance generators. We can generate the initial wave. Orion, no, Quinn objected. The Horizon wouldn't survive the dimensional backlash. We might, countered Vega. If we initiate the cascade and immediately jump to hyperspace, there's a chance we could outrun the collapse. No one in the room believed it, but no one challenged him either. 3 days later, the combined fleet of humanity and the Luminarch assembled in orbit around Earth. Over 500 vessels formed a multi-layered defensive sphere, the largest concentration of firepower ever assembled in the Sol system. Admiral Wells stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching as the last civilian transports departed for the safety of the outer colonies. Behind her, Dr. Winston calibrated the fleet-wide neural synchronization network that would link all human pilots. Herald Vanguard detected at system edge, announced the tactical officer. Multiple dimensional ruptures forming. On the main display, space itself seemed to tear open as the Void Heralds began their assault. Unlike previous engagements, they came in overwhelming force, thousands of dark entities pouring through gaps in reality. All ships battle formation Omega, ordered Wells. Commence synchronized firing on my mark. The fleet moved with practiced precision, guided by human reflexes enhanced by Luminarch technology. Energy weapons lanced out across space, striking the leading edge of the Herald's swarm. Where they hit, the darkness recoiled but always reformed moments later. Aboard the Horizon, Captain Vega and his crew prepared for their crucial role. The ship had been positioned at the rear of the formation, ready to accelerate through the fleet and into the heart of the enemy once the battle was fully joined. Neural synchronization at 93%, reported Quinn from the integration station. All pilots are linked. Dr. Alara Frost, still serving as the Horizon's science officer after all these years, monitored the quantum resonance generators. Output stable at maximum capacity. The dimensional mapping is complete. Commander Drax, now bearing scars from a dozen battles against the Heralds, manned the tactical station. Defense grid active. Will punch through their formation on your command, Captain. Vega nodded, watching as the battle unfolded before them. The Heralds pressed forward despite heavy losses, their singular purpose evident: reach Earth at any cost. Admiral Wells, to all ships, came the transmission. The Heralds have committed their main force. Execute Operation Quantum Collapse. Captain Vega, you are cleared to proceed. Vega took a deep breath. Acknowledge, Admiral. Horizon moving to position. He turned to his bridge crew. It's been an honor serving with all of you. Same goes for us, Captain, replied Drax, speaking for everyone. Initiating neural sync, announced Quinn, connecting her implants directly to the ship's systems. Around the fleet, hundreds of human pilots did the same, their minds joining in a vast network coordinated by Dr. Winston. The Horizon accelerated, its enhanced engines pushing it through the defensive formation and toward the mass of Void Heralds. Enemy attacks battered its shields, but the ship pressed on, driving deeper into the swarm. We're approaching the calculated focal point, reported Dr. Frost. Quantum resonance generators at critical output. Aboard the Defiance, Winston watched the Horizon's progress. All pilots prepare for dimensional mathematics sequence on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. Across the fleet, the neural network activated. Hundreds of human minds, augmented by Luminarch technology, began calculating 11-dimensional equations simultaneously. The strain was immense, several pilots collapsed, blood streaming from their noses, but the network held. At the center of the Herald swarm, the Horizon reached its destination. Resonance wave primed, announced Frost, her voice strained. Ready to initiate on your command. Vega looked at his crew one last time, then faced forward. For Earth, for all life in the galaxy, initiate resonance wave now. Quinn activated the sequence. Energy surged through the Horizon, the quantum resonance generators reaching levels far beyond safe operating parameters. From the ship, a ripple spread outward, not in normal space but across dimensional boundaries. As the wave reached the fleet, each vessel amplified and redirected it, guided by the calculations of the neural network. The Void Heralds sensed the danger too late. The resonance wave struck their multidimensional structures, severing the connections between realities. Space contorted around the Horizon as dimensional forces tore at the fabric of reality. The ship's hull groaned under stresses it was never designed to withstand. Hyperspace engines online, shouted Drax. Jump now or never, Captain. Jump, ordered Vega. The Horizon vanished in a flash of hyperspace energy just as the dimensional collapse reached critical mass. The Void Heralds writhed in what might have been agony as their connections to other dimensions severed one by one. Without those connections, their presence in normal space became unstable, then unsustainable. From the Defiance, Admiral Wells watched in awe as the vast Herald swarm began to dissipate, individual entities fading from existence as they lost coherence. It's working, breathed Winston. The dimensional collapse is forcing them out of our reality. Within minutes, the space around Earth that had been filled with darkness returned to normal. Of the thousands of Void Heralds that had attacked, none remained. Any sign of the Horizon? Wells asked quietly. The sensor officer shook his head. No hyperspace signature detected, Admiral. They didn't make it out. A moment of silence fell over the bridge, then was broken by an urgent report. Admiral, hyperspace rupture detected. Something's coming through. All eyes turned to the main display as a battered, barely recognizable ship emerged from hyperspace. It was the Horizon, or what remained of it. Hull breaches marred its surface and half its propulsion system was gone, but it was intact enough to have survived. This is Captain Vega, came a weak transmission. Requesting immediate assistance. We've got wounded but we're alive. Cheers erupted across the fleet as rescue vessels raced to the Horizon's aid. The gamble had paid off, the Void Heralds were banished, and the crew that made it possible had somehow survived. 6 months later, Earth had begun to return to normalcy. The planetary shield grid remained active as a precaution, but no further herald activity had been detected anywhere in the galaxy. In the rebuilt Galactic Council chamber, now including both human and Luminarch representatives, Ambassador Thorn Meridian addressed the assembled delegates. The quantum conquered was born of necessity, forged in crisis, he began, but its purpose need not end with the defeat of the Void Heralds. Together, our civilizations have achieved what neither could alone. This alliance represents not just our past salvation, but our future potential. Elder Tevis, now co-chair of the council, spoke next. For 20,000 years, my people watched from behind the shroud, intervening only when absolutely necessary. We believed isolation was strength. Captain Vega and the crew of the Horizon proved us wrong. Connection is strength, unity is strength. In the audience, Captain Vega sat with his crew. His cybernetic eye had been joined by a new cybernetic arm, another casualty of their desperate escape from the dimensional collapse. Beside him, Lieutenant Quinn wore the insignia of the new Quantum Integration Academy, where she now trained the next generation of neural interface pilots. Dr. Winston had received the highest civilian honors of both humanity and the Luminarch for her breakthrough work. Commander Drax had accepted command of a new exploration vessel, this one crewed by both humans and Luminarch. As the ceremony continued, Vega leaned over to Quinn. Did you ever imagine, when we first detected those energy readings in the Veil Nebula, that we'd end up here? She smiled, not in a million years, but I wouldn't change a thing. Not even the near-death experiences, he asked with a raised eyebrow. Well, maybe those, she conceded, but the rest of it, finding the Luminarch, saving Earth, changing the course of two civilizations, that's why we joined exploration in the first place. Vega nodded, looking out at the assembly of humans and aliens working together to chart a new future. The quantum veil had been pierced, revealing not just danger but opportunity, a chance for humanity to take its place among the stars not as conquerors or subjects, but as equal partners in the great cosmic dance. To the next adventure, he said quietly. Quinn smiled. To the next adventure.